my history of toilet paper, kind of my journey, not necessarily like the entire history of toilet paper. I just want to set that expectation. Okay. Trying to remember which way's up. That way's up. So, raise your hand if you have used toilet paper in the last year. Okay. Raise your hand if you've shopped for toilet paper in the last year. Okay. So then this might look familiar to you. Or this. Or this. Or this. Or this. So today's toilet paper aisle is overflowing with options. I did not mean to do that one. Okay. So on the most basic level, you have 1-ply, 2-ply, 3-ply. You've got plain, rippled, embossed. If you're choosing based on what I call butt feel, you've got your extra rough and thin all the way to super extra quilted, cushiony, whatever. So basically, you can get anything that your butt desires. You also have all these claims about environmental stuff and cleaning ripples and gentleness and all of that. And so some people might be really thrilled about all of these options. But for me, this is completely overwhelming. So in addition to all of that, you have a billion different sizes of toilet paper rolls available now. And that is the thing that has been driving me crazy for the last decade. And that's what this project is focusing on. Okay, so here we go. You have double rolls, giant rolls, large rolls, big rolls, jumbo rolls. This is new. Supreme rolls, mega rolls, super mega rolls, double plus and mega plus rolls, which were actually only on the market for like 2 weeks, and I happened to find them, and they were only at Target. And it's really, I have a whole story about that. And then you have forever rolls. And this is relatively new, and it is completely annoying. And here's the thing. Now you have forever XL rolls, which to me is like saying infinity plus one, but with toilet paper. Okay. So if you're like me, this is all potentially anxiety-inducing. Particularly if you are interested in the actual numbers. So behind all of these like ecstatic bears and babies with wings and fluffy ducklings is basically what amounts to a complete mathematical shit show. So, Wendy backstory. When I shop for anything, I am conditioned to at least want to know what the best deal is. It's not the only thing that I'm interested in, but I feel like it's due diligence. I want to know. So I grew up with a mom who shopped with a calculator, and she would calculate cost per ounce of cereal and cost per whatever of soda, and I don't think I had regular soda until I was in college. It was all generic. So, at some point, I realized I was spending something like 20 or even 30 minutes in the toilet paper aisle trying to calculate things in my head. So I decided to start this project and to try to decode what was happening. So I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who think that spending more than 30 seconds in the toilet paper aisle is weird. I kind of want to know, can you raise your hand if you spend 30 seconds? Okay. So I envy you. Because when I'm standing there looking at all of this stuff, I inevitably see people come by and just grab something off the shelf and throw it in their cart and walk away. So, if you are one of those people, you might be what this guy Herbert Simon, or this guy Barry Schwartz called a satisficer. So, Barry Schwartz wrote this book, which is good, and you can check it out right now, today, from the library people. But I won't go into it too much, but he wrote this awesome book, The Paradox of Choice, talking about how more choice is not necessarily good. And he also did a good TED Talk that you should watch. So they break people down into two groups. You've got your satisficers and your maximizers. So those of you who just throw stuff in your cart are most likely satisficers, at least with toilet paper speaking. Maximizers are people like me who are looking for this elusive, perfect answer. So I have been known to spend 20 or 30 minutes trying to pick between virtually identical shades of thread. And it's not just about buying things, it's also comes to things like dating, where you have all of these options. And how do you know, right? So am I single because I'm looking for this perfect conglomeration of all of these people that I love? Or would I be happier in some sort of arranged marriage by this point? I feel like I probably would, actually. So, the paradox of choice says that more choice isn't necessarily better. And in reality, it can cause anxiety and loneliness and dissatisfaction. Okay. And then once you do make your decision, if you're a maximizer, you are less likely to be happy with the decision that you make. So let me show you this video.
This is a mercado or market here in Cuba. Pretty typical. Let's take a look. Look at this. You just don't see this anywhere else. Whole row of just one product, one brand. That's it. I don't know what this is. Vino Seco, sweet wine, El Mundo. It just goes and goes and goes. We cannot film here.
Not without authorization.
I think I mean, it's okay. I don't need to. I was just wondering if you had any, I'm just, Vino Seco, El Mundo, do you have that?
So when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's a place where I could really be happy. And I tend to, if you know me, I tend to romanticize communism, and I understand that it's not, there is a sweet spot when it comes to choice. And you don't want to run out of toilet paper, you don't want to be waiting in line forever. But I've read a lot of these North Korea escape memoirs, one of which is actually over there, and you should start reading them because they're entertaining, sort of, and terrible. But I started noticing this thing that happened where these people have had these obviously terrible lives and terrible situations, and they finally escape, and they're not being tortured or they're not starving, but they get to this point where they're either in South Korea or they're in the United States, and they realize that kind of sucks a little bit to have to be choosing things all the time. And this woman who wrote this in Order to Live, which you can also check out, says this: I never knew freedom could be such a cruel and difficult thing. Until now, I had always thought that being free meant being able to wear jeans and watch whatever movie I wanted without being arrested. Now I realized that I had to think all the time, and it was exhausting. There were times when I wondered whether, if it wasn't for the constant hunger, I would be better off in North Korea, where all my thinking and all my choices were taken care of for me. I was so tired of being responsible. So, not to make light of that, in order to help maximizers with their decision making, I decided that I wanted to make a key for toilet paper. And this would be a thing that would help explain all of these crazy measurements in the toilet paper aisle. And it would be something that you could print, you could keep in your wallet, or you could download from the internet, and you would take it with you when you were shopping. And it would explain everything for you, and everything would be better. So, and that way you would not have to decipher this stuff over and over again, which is what I was doing. So, I also thought I was going to make this really awesome, really short radio story that I was going to pitch to This American Life. And Ira Glass was going to be really excited. And we would decode toilet paper for all of America and whatever. But things got extremely complicated quickly. So I went to the toilet paper aisle and I took all of these photos and more. And I went home and I looked at all the numbers and I made a key. And it was actually very easy. It took less than 30 minutes to make this key. And this is what it was. You can take a picture. If you shrink it proportionally, you can cut it out and it'll be like a business card and you put it in your wallet. So it turns out that the standard unit of measure for toilet paper is a regular roll. We all kind of intuitively know that because we were reading it over and over and over again. And every single company is adhering to these standards. When you have a super mega roll, if you're Cottonelle, if you're Charlotte, is anyone still taking a picture? If you have a double roll, it's always 2, that's obvious. If you have a mega roll, it is always equal to 4 regular rolls. If you have a super mega roll, it is always equal to 6 regular rolls. It's just the way it is. And I could have stopped there, but it just seemed really weird, right? All of these different companies are using these terms. So, and they're not real terms. Why not just say 4 or 6? But they're using these terms. So I wanted to know why. Was there some sort of organization that was causing this to happen? Was big toilet paper setting the standards, manipulating the markets? So I asked some lawyer friends to look into it, for real. And to find out if there was any sort of legislation or regulation or anything that set standards for toilet paper packaging. And basically, there aren't any. In the United States, there are other places, South Africa, for one. So basically, toilet paper is only bound by the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act, which says that what it says is in the package is actually what's in the package. That's it. So, as long as those tiny numbers are true, then all this other stuff doesn't really matter. And so, I realized that my key was actually kind of useless. Because when I started looking at the fine print, I realized that the consistency of the terms is just an illusion. Because everything is being compared to a regular roll. And for one thing, it's really hard to find a regular roll of toilet paper. On one day, I went to 3 H-E-Bs and 2 Walmarts and a Target, and I couldn't find a regular roll, and I finally found one at Dollar General. And you can find them, that's kind of where you can find them. And you can also find them at convenience stores sometimes, and they're really expensive. So, okay, let's just do this very quick thought experiment and pretend that you are like a teenager and you're a ballet person, ballerina, whatever you call it. I've never been a ballet person, and you're going to New York and you're gonna do this one performance recital. And you're packing and you're gonna be there for a week, but you're gonna do a whole bunch of sightseeing. And your mom says to you, don't forget to pack your regular shoes. So, I feel like we would all agree that we know what regular means, right? It's like the common thing. It's not your specialized thing. It's not your toe shoes. It's just whatever we think of when we think of shoes. So, given that, if you look at these, which one seems like the one you see the most common? This one? Okay, yes, right, me too. So this is actually a regular roll by their definitions. This is a double roll. This is a mega roll, which is also really common, I think. Okay. What about, okay, well, let me just say, this one has 71 sheets in it. Just remember that. It's like crazy tiny. And like if you squeeze it, it's like really not very much. So what about these? Which one seems like a regular roll? It's hard to tell, right? Because you're really far away. I will tell you that all of these are regular rolls. And they're all really different sizes. So, okay. These are regular rolls of various brands of toilet paper. I mean, I could kind of stop there, right? So, in addition to there being a complete crazy diversity of numbers of sheets per regular roll, the sheet dimensions of the rolls are also just crazy. And math people, when I first started, I hoped that maybe when I did the math, it would all add up and they would all be equal, but they're not. Just trust me, they're not. Okay. So you've got all these different dimensions. It's just, so yeah, you've got all these dimensions. So basically, the only thing that's true is you have to work backwards. And that's reality. That's really what's happening. So there's no common denominator. There's no common units. There's no standard roll. There's no standard sheet. The only way to compare is to look at the square feet. Or if you want to do the weight, you can weigh it in the produce aisle. But you have to account for all of the packaging that you don't know. Okay. So, man, okay, I have to speed up. So, you basically have to ignore Texas size and mega roll and 4 rolls in one and this like sad sweating bear that's like collapsing under the weight of this giant roll, which is in reality smaller than you would think. And you just look at the fine print. So, just capitalism, right? Like, this has always happened. That's what people say. And to a certain degree, it's true. Everyone wants to make money. But sheet dimensions have not always been this crazy. Rolls have not always been this diverse. It was fairly consistent from the beginning of toilet paper rolls, which was, I thought someone's probably going to ask me, it's like the late 1890s or something, to the 1960s. 1970s, they shrink a little. 1980s, they shrink a tiny bit more. 1990s, they shrink more. But the diversity among the brands is still, it's not what it is. Like, all of them were 4.5 by 4.5, or all of them were 4 by 4. Then, in 1991, Northern puts out this big roll. And then, in
Another
1994,
story, the double roll. On your left, Muffin is using a regular roll of toilet paper. And on your right, Boomer is using new Charmin double roll. It's 2 rolls in one. The point is, when Muffin's roll runs out, Boomer still has a whole extra roll ready to go. Because it has twice as many sheets. And it's softer too. It's 2 rolls in one. New Charmin and Charmin Ultra Double Roll.
okay, so that happened. And the reasoning is they're helping us. You have to change your roll half as often, right? That's great. But if you if you project yourself into the future and say the mega roll is 4 times as big, then you change your roll a quarter as much. But so every time the companies make a new roll, they would shrink all of the rolls below it. This is what a regular roll of toilet paper looked like in 1979. And this is today. Yeah. So if you had 6 of these, it would be bigger than the Forever roll. It's so big and it's heavy. I'll like put it over there. So, okay. 1979, 1999 regular roll, and 2019 regular roll. This is real. You can hold them later. Okay, so this is what's been happening. Basically, my mom was like, how did you decide? And I said it's not scientific, but it's just sort of intuitive. So this is what has happened. This is what regular rolls, this is what has happened to regular rolls since in 20-year increments. So let's look at this one more way. We all know what mattresses look like. I had some friends actually help roll toilet paper out just to confirm. So 1979 square footage would cover a king-size mattress and a full-size mattress. 1999, it would cover a full-size mattress. 2019, it actually doesn't cover a crib mattress. Mic drop. So why does this matter? Because it's freaking crazy. And all of the pennies and all of the minutes and all of the quarter inches and all of the anxiety all add up. And you have people, like my mom when I was little, who were like trying to make the best economic decisions. And it's pretty much impossible. It's not impossible, but it's really, really hard. It's unreasonably difficult to make those decisions when you're shopping for toilet paper without spending forever. And it's not just happening, this is my important point. Words matter. Measurements are real. It's not just happening with toilet paper. You've got this thing in laundromats, which if you actually try to do it, you cannot fit 5 of the 1 loads, and for 1 load, it's impossible. You've got this mini pints thing. You've got fun size, which is just ridiculous. These things that's really bothers me, it's like important documents open immediately, and it's just like crap spam. And you have this. So this whole project has been about what so far? What's been happening? So then basically going forward, I want to know why. It's, manufacturing, there's toilet paper technology, there's all these things that could possibly be contributing to this stuff. And that's kind of what I'm going for. So I spelled collaborators wrong. Any copy editors out there, don't ridicule me like I would you. But that's it. That's it. I'm over.
All right, fantastic. We're going to do some Q&A now. We got 16 questions from Lewis, co-founder of Nerd Nite Austin. Most of them are really stupid, so. But one of them is also on my mind, and where did that come from? Do you own like some toilet paper museum that we're not aware of?
It came from eBay.
Wow.
And they're all marked. Like initially I was just looking for packages so I could read all of the fine print to track what happened over time. But then I was like, I really want to remember what that feels like. And so I ordered one, and they're all marked, or a lot of them are marked as like for props. So I think people who are doing, stuff like Stranger Things or something, or buying vintage stuff that's been in houses and forever.
Wow. And they're individually wrapped? Did they come that way, or you shrink wrapped them?
I wrapped them in plastic wrap.
Awesome.
To protect them.
All right, we have time for a couple of questions from the audience. Yes.
So, what do you choose to buy?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you choose to buy?
Okay. I typically buy the Angel Soft, middle of the road, pretty cheap, typically double rolls or mega rolls. But if you, like you can go to Walmart and get this really generic 150 sheet per roll, regular roll toilet paper on occasion when they have it. And it's like 62 cents. And if you bought 6 of them, it is significantly cheaper than buying any super mega roll out there. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, next. Yes.
So, have you gone full circle and started a grocery store with a calculator?
So, have you gone full circle and become your mother and go to the store with a calculator?
calculator on my phone, like we all do. And yeah, but it's like, that was part of the problem is that you can't do it with the calculator. I mean, you can do it with the calculator, but it's really complicated. So theoretically, yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. No. Yes. Okay. Butt feel is a very personal issue. And I have talked to people who love Scott 1000 sheet one-ply toilet paper. And I was surprised. Like, my best friend was like, oh, yeah, I used it, and then they changed the formula, and then whatever. And then I have another friend who's like, she's here, whose like mother-in-law basically forced her to buy Scott 1000 sheet toilet paper, and it was just like the worst experience of her life. And so it really just depends. Like, if you're doing something where if you have like a composting toilet, then the Scott is a good thing. But I mean, in terms of butt feel, like, I personally don't like the fluffy Charmin crap. It's like a paper, I mean, it's like a washcloth. But worse, not a washcloth.
Okay, last question. One more question.
I don't know how that's funny.
Okay. Who do we have? Yes.
All the cost estimate in your mind, the sizes, the numbers, and all that. When do you decide it's enough cleaning and I'm clean enough?
You mean when you're wiping, or?
Yeah. So, regardless of the size of the sheet or the roll, how do you know when you're clean enough? That may be a different talk, actually.
It depends on your personal preference. Some people I have heard. I've talked to so many people in this room about toilet paper. I'm like, who told me that? They claim to only use 1 square or 3 squares, and I'm like, I don't know, regardless, and I don't understand that. So I mean, it just depends. And then some people look. Some people wrap and look. Some people crumble. Some people fold diagonally.
It
folds
is a whole additional talk.
Someone
It's
folds
true.
diagonally. And you wrap or you crumble. Craft? Oh, right, a graph. Yeah, it's at least its own essay in the collection of essays that this is.
All right. Well, I think we'll end it there. Wendy, thank you so much.